Okay, guys, can I get your attention, please? As you know, we were supposed, guys, I really need you to listen to this stuff. Okay, sweet. Once again, thank you so much for joining the game jam, the two-day game jam, which was part of Tech Festival. As you know, we're going to start the judging session now, which means I need each of your teams to get up here and show us your game. Okay? Now, the way this is going to work is you get up here, bring your computer, hook it up on this thing. We've got a HDMI connector, and that stuff is going to go straight into the live streaming. Okay? We're streaming this session now, and we have our Dolby friends here. They're going to be looking at the projects. They're going to be sort of taking notes on each presentation, and once we finish that, we will announce the winners. Now, I think I mentioned this a few times in the past. We have an awards night on Friday. That means those that win a prize today don't go home with the prize. You have to come back on Friday to collect your prize. Does that make sense? Is that clear? Excellent. So on Friday we have it's kind of an evening of celebration and food, and all the industry friends who are going to join, and all the winners from all the events will also join. And you guys get your certificates, your prizes, and a little trophy for winning. I think that's all I needed to say. So, are we good to go, guys? Yep. Now, who wants to go first? Okay. So, I'm going to get you guys to use this, because this stuff is being used for the streaming. So, bring your computer, plug it into this. And we're going to time you guys just to make sure that, we have enough time for all the projects. How much time are we allowing, judges?
5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, 5 to 10 minutes.
Are we also going to be playing the game?
Yes. Okay, and can we hit HDMI on that little panel? That should work. And is that on stream now? Yeah, Windows activation, really? Okay. Are you ready? Okay, you got 5 minutes.
So, our game is called Friends, and it's a game about cooperation and exploitation. The narrative of the game focuses on a group of friends who have escaped from captivity. However, one of the friends... Sorry? Oh, yeah. However, one of the friends disappears, returning later not quite the same.
The game is an asymmetric survival game, with 3 survivors and 1 hunter. The survivors are players attempting to escape, and to do so, they must complete tasks and solve puzzles. Each puzzle will require communication and coordination. The hunter's objective is simply to catch and eliminate the survivors.
So each party uses Dolby.io, and the survivors utilize the software to communicate with each other, cooperating to complete tasks and relay information. The hunter also has access to the voice communication of the survivors and can use the comms to track down the survivors. Dolby.io's spatialization allows for the survivors' voices to be heard with directionality in the game world, providing the hunter with important information to pinpoint their locations. And both parties are also able to hear each other's footsteps when in close proximity. So that's the game. That's the game.
So, just to show how the game works, so if I press host game here, it will take me into the game world. If I go over to my second client, I can, well, first of all, it will list an IP address over here for the other player to join. And you can join if you were on the same network, but seeing as both of these clients are on the same computer, I can just press join game, and they will both join. Could you hold it? Okay, yeah. So then once in the game, players can spread out, and choose where they want to start the game, but we don't know which player is going to be the hunter yet. And when all players have spread out, any player can press start game, and the player that is selected as the hunter will be teleported back to the starting point. That player then has to come into contact with the other players to kill them. Upon being killed, other players will transform into ghosts where they can only spectate. Yeah.
In order to get out, there are tasks to be completed. For example, you need to find 3 pieces of key in order to unlock a door, and then stand on a pressure plate which will lift up something, so you can get another piece, repairing different things. We don't have a lot of that implemented, but that's the concept. It's pretty much the game. Cool. Is there questions or anything? Just leave.
So yeah, when someone dies, there it goes. They're still in the game. So how do they still get to partake? What's their input at that point?
They can still communicate to the other players in the game with Dolby.io, so they're able to pass information that way, but they're not able to interact with the items and complete puzzles.
Any other questions? Yes?
How does the spatial audio come into the gameplay?
So you can hear the footsteps of players and the hunter, and when you hear them, you can feel they're behind you, to the left, to the right, maybe in front of you. What we want to do is have more like a fog of war. That way you can't actually see other players, we can hear them instead.
Yeah, one last question. So obviously very limited time for this. What features would you have liked to add if you had another couple of days?
Well, definitely the fog of war. That way it requires more of a sound rather than visual feedback.
More puzzles and better puzzles, not just fetch quests, but puzzles that require communication. So maybe there's a lever on each side of the map that they need to be pulled at the same time. All of it just ties into the main concept of the game: is that you need to communicate to get out, but by communicating you know your position. The main thing we're missing is the puzzles. That's the main feature we want to put in. Thank you.
Okay, who wants to go next? I'm gonna try this microphone. Who wants to go next? Okay. Did that work? Okay, so I'm gonna leave these for you guys to ask the questions, and I'm gonna get these guys to do this stuff. Okay, guys, who's presenting? Because I need to hook you up with this stuff. That goes in your pocket, that goes in your shirt.
How do I click this on? Oh, right there.
As close as you can to your mouth.
Testing. Okay. Does that sound good? Yep.
You might have to speak a tiny bit louder. Yeah, I got the okay from this guys. Okay.
Do we want to just show off the normal version, then a relay afterwards? Or relay now, relay now. Oh no, I want to show the normal version so you can see both sides. No, I'll do the normal version by myself first. Then it's on here. Is there? Oh no.
Yeah, it sounds like you.
Oh, yeah. Oops. Yeah. Uh, what? It should be duplicate, right? Display setting. Okay, there you go. That works now. What? No, there's two. There's two ones of show. All right. I can be heard, right? Test. All right. Yep, we're ready to start. No, it's not the relay version yet. All right, so our game is called Hear Me Out. Our game is called Hear Me Out. So it's a collaborative game where you work together and tell each other what color we should collect. So basically the objective is to collect a color, but you don't know what color you're collecting. Only your friend does. So your friend has to actively tell you what color you're supposed to be collecting. And the same goes for vice versa. So your friend doesn't know what to collect, but you do know what they have to collect. So basically, if I quickly demonstrate here. Yeah, so basically there will be different colors. No green ones yet. Well, I'm really unlucky, hey. Well, I'll just talk about laser first. So of course, there's this laser that goes by. And oh my god, I'm really unlucky. The color is not updating. So normally it picks, yeah, there you go. So now my friend can tell me to pick up red. So I can go red. And it picked red again for some reason. But yeah, of course, there's a laser. I lose life from that. I can also fall down, go back to the beginning. And if I collect the wrong color, so it says yellow, but if I collect something else like blue here. Oh yeah, also forgot to say that as time goes on, the balls move faster and more keeps spawning on. So yeah, that's basically it. But I want to show off the relay version. So basically, I get to play with Richard here. And yeah, so I can host. So I'll be in the game first, but eventually, if he gets his game up and type in the code on the top right, he can join in as well.
6P.
So yeah, and there you go, Richard's in. So
Get yellow.
get yellow. All right, you can get yellow too. So yeah, we're just gonna quickly demonstrate. Get green.
Get green. You're still yellow.
Okay, but yeah, that's basically it. So how we use Dolby I/O is just a way of communicating with each other. And of course, we're not wearing headphones right now, but when we're too far from each other, it's quite difficult to hear each other. So most of the time, we have to get closer to know what we should collect and stuff.
You're still yellow.
Yeah, but yeah, that's basically it.
Yep.
Okay. No need to demonstrate the game anymore. So yeah, any questions?
Yes, oh, sorry, a bit loud. You said it was a bit hard to hear each other when you're further away. Was it just too quiet, or was there other audio getting in the way of it?
No, I believe it was just too quiet. It's probably from our own microphones that are a bit quiet. But with our design, we want it so that when you're really far, you won't be able to hear each other.
Yeah.
So you have to get
Yeah.
closer to.
Yeah, so that was part of the game design. It was a conscientious choice. They've got to run close to each other to communicate the colors so they can
Yeah.
run away.
Of course, if we had better microphones, we'd probably adjust the scale so that you have to be really close to hear each other.
Okay, cool. Question?
Communication is number one.
Yeah.
What's sort of the trade-off of sticking together? Like, why wouldn't the players just sort of stick all together in?
Well,
I guess it's a challenging aspect where the players have to regroup somehow to communicate, and so they wouldn't have to. So we don't want our players to spread out too far, then just talk over each other at like long ranges. It wouldn't be like spatial audio. It'll just be like another Discord channel. So
and initially we wanted the player to like really collide with each other, so they like get really rough with each other if they get too close. So and also initially we wanted a more limited space, so it would be harder to collect other stuff. You might be stealing other colors, and it would be like quite difficult. In addition, it's actually the game get quite hard at later point of the game, and the balls gets very fast, in which kind of separates the players, and there's not really like chances for players to stick together as the game get harder. I mean, they can stay close to each other, but they'll be gaining less points as the ball is be harder to catch, and the wrong color balls will also come towards you, so you have to dodge those. In addition to the laser that comes back and forth, so eventually, even though the players can try to stick together, they'll separate and have to make the conscious decision to come close to each other and actually recoup their efforts in communication. Any other questions?
And then last question is, if you had more time, what features would you be looking to add? What do you think's missing from the game?
Initially, we wanted, first of all, the game to sync better, so we wanted a countdown beforehand. Because as you saw, the host joins, but the host is playing immediately. Another thing, we plan on adding more obstacles like enemies and stuff. So that's the actual driving point of separating the players as well. And
but overall, the game is like complete in its like objectives and game over and how players want to win, which is just to get a higher score.
So yeah, so what we really want to add is just more obstacles, and that's mainly about it.
Cool, great job.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Excellent. Who wants to go next? So you guys need HDMI connections, or you good?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. And who's doing the speaking? Yes. Are you guys taking turns?
I think so.
Okay. So that means you have to pass these as you speak.
Best you can ask for us.
I just get some stuff.
There you go. Okay, who's speaking first? You going first?
I won't give anything.
So those in your pocket or your second hand, and yeah, you can plug those them out, that's it.
Mr. Chair.
No, I got into the country. And then
This is the broken version.
Damn it.
so I'm just one of those.
Wait, check the projection.
Elgin Egg.
Oh no, that works. It works.
So
Wait, do you check the projector?
that's great.
Do you want to speak?
I think it's trying out stuff. I think it's a good lesson in helping new stuff.
Do you want to speak first?
That sort of stuff. When you're entering the workforce and all that.
So what you guys
maximize the because you can kind of see it on the screen.
Okay. Just change the projection type. Same.
Person.
Is it good, brother?
I think we just have to.
Okay, no, that's fine. Go back to what you have and. Just go back to what you guys have. That's fine.
No, but we can go back so you can see on both.
Okay, what happens is not make it restricted. That's fine. Just play it normally and go. Okay, guys, you got 5 minutes.
Yep. So we're good to start.
Yeah, right now.
Okay, so our game is cooperative, and you can start walking around and just show off. So you can see that we have set up like a labyrinth, and in the final game it would be ideally like dark, foggy, visibility would be very low, and light would be like a precious resource. And so the two players, they start off separated, and during some parts of the labyrinth they'll end up like meeting up and joining, but they will also be like separated again at certain points. So when they're separated, they will have to rely on like being nearby each other but unable to see each other and talking via spatial chat to actually communicate. And there would be several puzzles in the game where like one person will have to communicate with the other to tell them how to solve a puzzle that that person can't actually see. So if anyone has heard of Keep Talking, No One Explodes, very similar to that. You want to say?
So in the final version of the game, we're planning to have some puzzles that focuses on having to constantly talk to each other, such as riddles that appears on the wall in the order of certain shapes, which another player would be the one who has to solve it and put in the input to open some doors. And in these puzzles, they are all about opening and closing doors, but there are different types, such as levers, which you can close it, and then there are buttons which can open the door for a limited number of times before it closes again, which players have to communicate to time it well in order to let another player go through. In our current version of the game, the multiplayer isn't working right just yet, so we are just looking at the perspective of one player. But at first, the player will start separately, as mentioned before, and as mentioned that one of the doors will allow them to meet up and then work cooperatively that way in order to escape in the end. Have we mentioned the monster?
So another aspect of this game of ours is the players are kind of on a time limit, because the moment they enter the thing, there's actually a monster that is released at the same time as them. And that monster is like some tentacle eldritch horror, since our game Eldritch Echoes. It'll literally not be able to see, and the only source of like vision or like detection for the monster is pretty much the audio the players will make. So throughout the dungeon, there'll be like an echolocation, and like there'll be like a shader throughout this whole map that will spread out, revealing the layout to the monster. And in reality, it's actually another player. So our game will have at least 3 players, 2 players working together, and the final player being a monster that will pretty much be hunting them down. And pretty much when the monster finds a player, it's like game over, because you can't complete the game without the other player.
No, you still can.
I mean, it'd be very difficult. It's practically impossible, but yeah, it gives a difficulty kind of like measure to our game. Cooperative and also strategy, as you have to avoid the monster as you're trying to solve these puzzles to escape. So.
as you can see, it's pretty much impossible to escape with just one player. So it is crucial that we have another player on this. So we do have, while we don't, the game isn't completed yet, we do actually have a lot of the things we mentioned in the game, just not fully put into the final scene. So we do have the Sonar shaders, which we have screenshots of on the itch.io, if you could bring that out. Do you want to? Oh.
I mean, we do have like the lighting scene.
Yeah, we do have the lighting scene, but it's not in the build.
If we just
Are you able to show that?
like the lighting scene.
Yeah. Just tab off. Oh, you can show that then.
Wait, show them the.
Yeah, it's nearly on now.
Yeah, so you can see this is what the final game. Yeah, this is what the final game should look more like, where your visibility is incredibly low, and you need to rely on hearing each other to navigate and to communicate.
Thank you.
And so some quick questions. First question, just to confirm, so do both players spawn in like the same area together, or are they spread apart?
So they're in two different rooms at the start.
They're close. They can hear each other.
Okay.
But they can't see each other.
Okay, cool, great.
What does the monster look like? So you said that it's like, can the players see it?
We did have like a placeholder.
It's also on the itch.io page.
Yeah.
Can you just bring up the browser?
No. Okay. So. Yes.
Oh, that's your scene.
So let me demonstrate. So pretty much there's our monster technically, literal tentacle. Kind of.
You can also see like the shader that the monster will be able to see. They can see where sounds are coming from.
Right. So, and then the players controlling this creature around the map like the other players. And so it sees something different to.
Yeah. So whereas the players have light to navigate by, the creature can like see the sound, and also they can hear, of course. They can hear, but they can also see the sound to navigate, and they can also echolocate by making sounds themselves, which will cause. So normally the monster is silent, but when echolocating, the players can hear it and know that it's coming.
I think that answers my question, which was how do the players know where the monster is? So that's through its echolocation.
Yeah. Yes. But of course, the player, being the monster, can choose to go silent and be completely blind to sneak up on them.
Yep. Okay. Nice.
Great, and last question. If there are any more features that you need to add, if you had a couple more days, what are those features?
Yeah, I mean, one feature that I didn't actually get, like a couple features I didn't get to implement in time was the monster being able to like change the layout of the maze by causing walls to like fall down that players would then have to lift back up. And also the monster being able to move through like holes in some walls that players can't move through, giving the monster more mobility and allowing it to ambush them.
Yeah, and that also allows the monster to go through some places before the players open up those doors.
But there's also the fact that those passages can be blocked off by doors, so the monster will unlock more routes to ambush the players as the players progress and open more doors.
Yeah, but since some of the options can be closed, the players can strategically hide some paths, and the monster will have to take the long way through to get to the players.
And of course, because the monster is blind, the only way it knows that a path is blocked is by physically going there.
So it's as much a puzzle game for the character or the person playing the monster character as it is for the regular players. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, who wants to go next? Don't be shy. You all have to do it. Okay. Jade? Are you gonna...
Yeah, should be good. Just as long as I plug it into this side, I guess. Just a sec. Apologize for the 16 by 10 ratio.
Jade, can I get you to use this microphone?
Sure thing. Just this one?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Can I clip this onto myself so I can more easily?
Put them in your pocket with it here.
Yeah.
And then that works.
Just wanna show this off real quick. Whoop. How does this? That's how the fascinating mechanism works. Alrighty. Is this working or is this frozen? Alright. So I know it's an absolutely lovely start screen. I didn't quite get time to make a lovely main menu. I was awake all night. I probably should have slept at some point. But my game, Starship Scramble, I believe that's what I called it, or at least my girlfriend called it. The idea behind it is pretty much there are two players who are in an asynchronous area. And if I just hosted one of these fellows over here, you can see this lovely little area over here, and there's these two rooms. Each player will be trapped in either side of the two rooms, and one player will be provided with a blueprint to a spaceship. The other player will be provided with a bunch of parts for the spaceship. So I did actually get the multiplayer all working, so if I was to join with a client, we can see there's a funky little friend there, and there's that one. Unfortunately, there's these little buttons I've got here, which you have to push at the same time, which means obviously you're going to be in the two different rooms. I'm going to use my lovely developer cheats instead. So if I just step over here, then I can start the first stage. All of the pieces fly to life. I'll just pull open that door as well. That door would usually stay locked. But we can see over here that we've got this little spaceship that's popped up, which is entirely randomly generated. It's made up of a body, a cockpit, a main thruster, two wing thrusters, and two wings. And our goal is to recreate this spaceship. Since the doors are closed, and usually I wouldn't be able to see it, this is where the Dolby I/O chat comes in, because we have to rely on our trusty co-worker here to actually look at the spaceship and describe perfectly what each piece is. So we'd be searching around here. For example, they might say the core piece is a triangular white body. So if we take a quick look around, here's one right here. Stick that into the center. Next part would have been a red cockpit, a little square one. So we can go and stick that in the front. You can see the little node that represents where it's supposed to go is pulsing. And if I wanted to go a bit off the wire, I could just start grabbing all sorts of random pieces and chucking them on. There's a nice thruster on the back. That's another cockpit. I can't use that one. Pretty much, once I've made this, well, once the two of us have made this spaceship using the communication provided by Dolby, we would push down on these buttons over at either side, and it would then judge the spaceships to see if they were identical, which in this case, oh dear, apologies, I went too fast. If I just quickly chuck a body back on here, we can see. It is not particularly happy. It does not think that this spaceship here looks like that one, which is entirely correct. So I did go for a fairly small scope because I wanted to make sure I could get it done within the time frame of the jam. Pretty happy with what I got done. I'm very much looking forward to actually playing multiplayer. I haven't had a chance to play it with anybody yet. It seems like as a concept, I think it would be fun, so it'd be nice to put that to the test. Anyhow, I think for the most part, other than a few things which I may answer to your question, which I am very ready for, do you have any questions?
The first one, just a team on your own, right? Or
Yeah, just me.
Okay, cool.
Just non-stop all night.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. Don't do it. I feel terrible.
For like a lot of the assets you used in this, did you produce those yourselves? Or
Oh
did you-
yeah, pretty much all of the everything here. So the first-person asset, like I took that from online, and there's like a couple of little quality of life things, like the highlighting of the. Oh geez, sorry. Which button? There we go. You can see there's a little highlight around the object. That was a extra package I bought in, but all of the models I had to very quickly throw together about half an hour before I was leaving the house to come here today, which was quite nerve-wracking. And it was just, it was a bit of a like nightmare trying to actually get all the networking working as well, because there's a lot of information to sync here about what's connected to what, who's holding on to what. One thing that you can actually do, and this is entirely a mistake on my part, but it's kind of funny because it doesn't actually seem to cause any issues, is you can run over and just steal items out of the other person's hand. And I was like, okay, it's there, it works, I'll just leave it.
Sounds like a feature.
Yeah, it's one of those things which you leave in a game and it'll go somewhere in the future. People will enjoy it.
Yeah. How advanced do the random iterations of the spaceship get? Can they get pretty advanced?
So with this so the way I've got it set up at the moment, it can get a lot more advanced. It is a like fully node-based system where each node actually, each part has a collection of nodes on it, which say which specific part type they can connect to. In this case, I've made it so that every single body piece has the exact same 4 connections, but it doesn't have to. If I wanted to, I could add another 2 wings to a body piece. For example, this long one here, if I'd had a bit more time, I definitely would have added an extra 2 like wings on either end, which would have made a much bigger spaceship, or I could actually make body pieces link onto each other, but you have to be careful with the recursion. We don't exactly want to go crashing out of the wall there. Yeah. Titanic through the TARDIS style.
Cool.
Yeah.
How does the spatial chat feature wrap into the communication part?
So that is something I did struggle with a bit. I was going back and forth between a bunch of different ideas, and I couldn't exactly find a way to get these, specifically the spatial chat, to be particularly important here. But yeah, the communication is definitely very important. You could use external software, but it's nice to have it built into the game.
It seems that there's a lot of ways you could extend this. Like it's just the core of an idea. So yeah, if you were to build on this, which directions would you take?
Well, admittedly, my mind's on polish a lot, so the first thing I'd probably do is add a bunch of sound effects in, make everything look just a smidge nicer. I did have like an entire idea for the proper story of this place. Pretty much you're either large aliens or large robots who are constructing these smaller like spaceships, because I don't think that we're going to be able to fit inside of these for another alien race. And you can see these little guys just kind of standing in windows watching you build, and they'll kind of pop down into the spaceship and fly off, and hopefully not blow up if you've actually built it right. Other than that, there's it feels very much like a mini game to me. I have been trying to like see if I can find any other ways that I could expand this beyond what it is at the moment. If you have any ideas, I would be more than open to them.
When will the VR port be?
Okay, I'm sorry. When I was building this game, I was going, oh my god, if I had an Oculus Quest, this would be a VR game, because it is very much a VR game. Oh, actually, no, that does bring me back. One of the main things I would want to add is on the person who's on the blueprint side. At the moment, they're just kind of staring at an empty just a ship sitting there. I'd probably want to give them a bit more of a control panel so that they can actually focus on particular parts and have a bit of a closer look at them. If I was to bring in some more specificity to parts, like maybe one part, there'd be 2 almost identical parts, like there's a yellow dot on them. that could be something that would be a bit more interesting on their side because they'd have to pay a bit more attention. I think it's a lot more fun to be in the builder's workshop at the moment rather than just kind of staring at this spaceship. But that's definitely something on my mind.
There's one thought that occurs to me is perhaps the person with the blueprint is somehow in control of the communications. The communication's a bit flaky, and so they've got to keep actively working at that to keep being able to communicate as well.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure how that mechanism would work, but something around there could actually help.
Yeah.
Add to the difficulty and how much the blueprint person has to do.
Yeah. This isn't entirely possible. It's just giving me an idea of like recording small snippets of like the person's previous instructions, chopping out like a color that they say, and then inserting it back into their conversation as like a technical fault later. Oh my god. Just have to sign a waiver before you open the game. Taking a lot of data from you on this one.
Cool. Yeah, otherwise, I think we're all good. Great job.
Alrighty. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we're gonna take a small break. Pizza's here. We don't want that to get cold. So 5 minutes, and then we get back onto this. Cool? Should be on that time. There you go. Actually. Yeah. Should be good. So I'll get you to put this in the shirt. I'll go to the pocket.
Yep. Hello.
Before you start, can you begin with the name of your game, the number of people in your team, and what year you are at university right now?
Okay, hello, my name is Olivia Stewart. It's just me, I'm afraid. And my game's called Asteroid Mayhem. And finally, yeah, I'm a first year student, so hopefully we can actually get this up and on the screen. What's that? Duplicates. Screen. Spaces. Oh. Sorry guys, I seem to have not put the cable all the way. Although mind you, it doesn't look to be fixing problems, so oh, fantastic. Okay, so let me just boot up my project quickly. Hopefully I can get audio functioning, because audio is actually a big part of my game, outside of just that which is provided by Dolby. So here we go, here's our menu screen. I'll just give you a quick rundown of the game before we start. So essentially it revolves around a very simple concept of you're piloting a spaceship through an asteroid field. That's it. And the whole game revolves around you cooperating with your partner to essentially manage. As you can hear, we've got some audio going through the game. And multiplayer is fully functional, so let me just boot up another client so you can see. But I actually won't be able to play much of multiplayer because it makes my PC lag like hell. So here we go. So we can get the other client, it's all synced up. And that includes everything in the game. Like for example, these controls, the turret, lift, synced up completely on the other client's side. So everything in the game is synced up, which is something I'm quite proud of. But actually, I'm going to close the multiplayer client because unfortunately running 2 instances of the game is making my PC lag pretty badly. In the meantime, I'm going to open up the editor so I can actually explain more my thought process behind how I designed the spaceship, which is the core of the game, and the idea of communication. So essentially, how my game uses the Dolby system is it's all built around communicating with the other person. The game's designed mainly to be with 2 people in your spaceship to try navigate through the asteroid field. And very specifically, I've chosen to design the spaceship in a way so that you are never too advantaged in one part of the ship. So you can see here, essentially it's divided in 2 spaces. One is the front part of the ship, which is essentially where the captain is. And that player is really in charge of knowing where things are and steering the ship. On the other end of the ship, we actually have someone who controls a gun, which can actually shoot down asteroids that are getting in the way. So I can actually demonstrate here, actually clicking play. A bit of the mechanics. So there's actually quite a few mechanics in this game. So if I load in here, at the front of the ship is really the steering component. So essentially you have a limited view, so you do have to rely on the other person playing to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. But if you look here, I can control the levers. These are all synced across multiplayer and start piloting the ship towards the asteroids. And I can also press buttons to change the orientation of the ship throughout the world. I'll just stop moving so I don't crash into anything. And I got a nice readout of my velocity. Behind me is the captain. I also have the nice ability to see a radar. On that, you'll see that there's actually a nice little green arrow that's pointing to my goal, essentially how to escape the asteroid field, as well as a readout of how far I am from it. Actually, right now I am still moving forward, so let's just hope I don't crash in the process of explaining. But I can actually, in the theme of sound and audio, I can actually ping the radar and see where nearby asteroids are around the ship. This is useful because now I can communicate to my friend at the back of the ship what's going on. They're the gunner. You can hear the ambient sound makes it a bit immersive from the engine. And as the gunner, you can control a couple of things. First, you have a screen that actually shows you the orientation of the turret and what it's looking at. So I can actually change that. And see, now I'm aiming right at an asteroid. And go at the front and just raise the view a bit. Now, if I was at the back, I could say to my friend, hey, I can shoot an asteroid that's going to be in the way. So I tell my friend that, and they can say, okay, and they'll press the button, actually fire the cannon and destroy the asteroid. In this case, I actually missed. But now here's where more of that cooperative gameplay comes in. My friend at the back, they now have to reload the turret manually. It's a very hands-on experience. So here we go around. They can pick this up, and this all works in multiplayer, by the way. You're going to have to take my word for it because my computer's not quite up to the task. But they can load that in. And now at the front, I can shoot again. So that's sort of that aspect of going around the ship and controlling everything. They can also add vertical velocity to move the ship out of the way of any close obstacles. Of course, the real core of the game is actually getting there and avoiding asteroids. So we can go forward. What happens if we actually hit an asteroid? Okay, that's where the real exciting stuff happens. So it looks like we might just hit this one here. Oh, there we go, we hit it. I'll slow down. And so the ship has taken damage. You can't see that right now, but part of the just development, I did add this handy button for demonstration, so I don't have to fly into each asteroid. So if I just press it, the ship takes damage. If I press it again, oh, something's happened. What's that? Looks like we have a breach in the hull and our oxygen is running out. So I actually would want my friend to go and grab one of these repair kits and come back over to the breach and fix it up for me. Phew, we're safe. We're on half oxygen though, so of course it's a bit risky. However, you can't just worry about fixing the hull because there is an overall health value to the ship, which does go down in this case. We only have 1 health left, so we have an alarm going off, and it's a bit dangerous. So we wouldn't want to hit any more asteroids, right? So we could maybe go to the radar and say, watch out, there's asteroids to the side, you know? But in this situation, we failed. It's game over. Our ship's been destroyed, and we never made it to the end. And so that's the essential core mechanics of the game and how it functions. And I think really around it, I wanted to create an experience that was about cooperation and also immersion. Everything in the ship is really controlled how you would picture it, you know, actual buttons and functions that happen. And so the spatial voice component actually plays a part in that. Because when you actually get ship damage and when you get the sirens blaring, that kind of stuff, it actually starts drowning out the voices. It creates a little bit more of a sense of immersion. And also, it creates a bit of a frantic environment. Maybe you and your friend are like, oh, what's going on? What do we do? And I think it has potential to have quite a fun environment. So that's really the game. So any questions? Anything like that? Hopefully I can actually get an example here of actually shooting an asteroid.
So while you're doing that as well, so sound effects, assets, that sort of stuff, did you leverage like the Unity asset store, or did you have some of the stuff already, or did you create a lot of that stuff from scratch?
Well, it's a bit of a mix. All the scripting, all of that completely myself. So there's actually quite a lot of scripting involved in this, especially for the syncing. So I got something like, well, I got a lot of scripts, just quite a lot going on. And all the ship and stuff, that was all modeled by me. However, I do have some assets just to help, like these buttons I didn't make myself, and the actual bullets. I made about half the particles myself. And the sound effects, yeah, I didn't make those, I'm afraid. Those just straight from online or assets I have laying around. But for the most part, it's pretty much just me, especially all the scripting.
Just your last one.
Yeah. So looks great. Is there another place that you want to take this? Are there more features, more hulls or parts to the ship? And how many players do you envision this to have?
Well, really, as it is now, it's really envisioned around 2 players. If you had 3, it'd start getting a little easy because then tasks can be pretty allocated. Right now, it's sort of the idea is that there's always more that you need to do than there are players. So there's a bit of that moving around and that interaction between players and that communication. So ultimately, as it is now, it's really designed for 2 players. However, if I were to expand the ship, of course, I'd add more functionality to sort of bring up the players. But if there's anything I really would want to do, it's sort of 2 things. One, I originally actually intended to have you fighting enemy ships, but that sort of went a bit out of the scope with actually programming the AI for that. So I was like, okay, it's just going to be asteroids. So ideally, it'd be more of a combat-focused game. And also, a big part of it for me was I wanted more interactions in the ship that I just didn't have time for. So I was thinking maybe, you know, when you take damage, there could be a fire that appears and you have to use a fire extinguisher to put it out. That sort of stuff, more dynamic interactions that come up and you sort of have to communicate and change the way you're playing to proceed.
Cool, great job.
Oh, yes.
Cool. Okay, guys, who wants to go next?
And as a reminder, names, name of game, what year everyone is, and in case something.
Okay, so who's doing all the speaking? Are you guys sharing the...
we're going to share our.
Okay, so
I'll start.
you need to share this stuff as well. So that goes in your pocket, or you can just leave it here. The main thing is that you put this close to your mouth.
Right.
Okay, that was a quick setup.
Hi, my name's Aaron.
I'm Nick.
I'm Ethan.
Max.
Kishi.
Alright. I'm currently doing my first year of my master's. I graduated my Bachelor of Game Design a couple years ago.
I'm third year business student.
I'm a second year computer science student.
Second year software engineering.
First year master interaction design.
So this is our game. It is called Worm Escape. It is centered around the idea that you're part of a crew. You're trying to escape from a giant evil space monster that's trying to eat your ship, and you have to work together as a team to escape that. You are a group of 4 robots, and your ship is slowly being torn apart by the monster trying to eat you. So, we just quickly show. We managed to get quite a bit of work done, but it's not exactly the best. So we got
Basically, it's just a sandbox at the moment because not all of our mechanics have been finished yet, unfortunately.
You want to quickly talk about the sound design for this?
So basically, there's like turrets, engine fuel, and each of those would be producing a sound, and so you would work out, okay, what part of the ship needs attending to based on the direction of the issue. Also, players on different parts of the map could call, hey, I need help over here to repair a wall or a gun and whatnot. Also, players only have a certain amount of energy to complete tasks, so once they run out of energy, what they will do is they will... And once they another player will have to pick them up and carry them over to the recharging bay. So, actions include like opening doors, boxes, or just...
So now, the robot has run out of battery. We can bring in the second client here to show what we do. So now we've got our little robot has unfortunately fallen down. He's run out of energy. So we're just going to quickly bring in a client. So this is one of the main tasks that you would have to do is if, say, for example, one of your teammates wasn't watching their health, you could come over, pick up your partner, and bring them over to the charge bays. And as he finishes charging, we'll switch over to the other thing, and you and you can see now that he can move again.
So the general gameplay loop is just simple resource management. You can see in the middle of the ship there's a red cube, a green cube, and a yellow cube. That's representing the 3 resources you have to track on the ship to keep your ship functional. So red, you'll be taking to your guns, and the guns will periodically fire, and they'll deal damage to the boss. So that's how you beat the game, is you kill the boss. Now, if... can you move up to the... As you can see at the top, there's the... Obviously, the red drop-off, that's where you drop your red cubes, yellow, yellow, etc. Now, the green cubes are actually repair cubes. So as you take damage, certain things will happen to your ship. So that can be doors being jammed, which will take more energy to open, holes in the hull of the ship. And to repair those holes, you will need to use the green cubes, bring them over, fix it. And that's the only way that you can actually get some health back to try to slow down the deterioration of your ship is by repairing the hulls. The engines at the bottom, they are just simple damage mitigation. The higher your engines are, the more dodge you do, so the less damage you take when you are hit. You are going to be hit, it's always inevitable. It's simply about
how well you can manage your
everything.
Your ability, how quickly you can fix the issues, like make sure that all the doors are, like you can access things properly, that all the holes in your ships are gone. The more holes in the ship, the faster you will take damage, the less health you'll have overall, and the easier it is for the boss to come and eat you up. Yeah. So, do you have any questions? Yeah.
So the monster is AI. It's not a.
So currently there is no actual physical thing. That is something we would love to have had time to do. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. We would have had we had wanted to get 2 health bars, 1 for the ship, 1 for the actual boss itself. They would have been balancing it out. The boss, as we shoot the boss would lose more health. As the boss attacked us, we would lose more health, and so on and so forth. And eventually, we would have and we would also have a timer that would show how long you have until you fully escape. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. We couldn't get those implemented.
One of the things we wanted to use the Dolby I/O for was actually telegraphing where the boss had attacked you. So if you're on the ship running around, you don't really know what's going to happen. You would hear like a roar off to one side, and that means, oh, the right side of the ship's about to be hit. So you could try to prep for that, maybe try to get over there a bit quicker. And that would go hand in hand with if things are out of power, if there's breaches in the hull, all of that. So.
The main inspiration for this game was more so a bit of Among Us, a bit of Overcooked, and other games that involve like high stakes, high chaos, multiplayer shenanigans. That was the idea behind this game, and we wanted to use the Dolby positional audio to increase that by making it so that you could, like, someone's maybe gone off and there's like a massive hole in guns if they need more help with that, so they'll scream over the comms, hey, come out and help me over here, I'm stuck over here, or something like that. Yeah, any other questions?
What was the win condition? Just surviving time?
So the win condition is, there's 3, well, I think there's 2 win conditions: beat the boss or escape. Yeah. Escaping is a time thing. You can either survive by keeping your ship intact for the entire period of time, or you can just simply kill the boss. And if we were to make this a part of a bigger game, obviously killing the boss would get you a bigger reward. Yeah, any other questions?
Yeah, so I know you said 4 players and you got 4 charging beds. Do you envision this as being like a 2-player as well, or more than 4 players?
Well, yeah. So right now we have no limit on how many players you can do. You could theoretically even try this solo. It wouldn't be very easy though, and you'd most likely get yourself whooped. But I'd imagine like we could have up to 4 players or even more, increasing the size of the ship, having more complexity to the tasks it need to be doing, having some tasks require multiple people to do them. That's one thing that would be very useful and encourage multiplayer. Yeah.
Cool. Great job.
Anything you guys want to say? No. All right. One last thing before we go. Unfortunately, due to our lack of time, there's a couple of bugs. So I think that's no. Oh no. So.
Just picking up the resources you may pick up in the game world.
Okay, so now I'm stuck myself because I picked up a resource here. So if I now come over here, I pick up the
resource cube was consumed to give 1 power to that edge.
Yeah. The fun thing is you can also bring it back and it will just eat the energy. Well, yeah. So if we had like maybe an extra day, we would have fixed these bugs. Maybe actually finished adding the boss and health bar, that sort of things. One thing that would have been really nice is if we could actually have a physical boss that you could hear and you could see flying around your ship as it smashes right into you. But yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else anyone wanted to say? All right, thank you. That has been our game.
Great job, great job.
Excellent. Who wants to go next? So just checking, we only have 2 teams left, right? 1, 2, and 3 with you guys, and that's it? Right. Guys, can you put your hand up if you haven't presented yet? That's you. 1, 2, and 3, right? Okay, almost there. Guys. So I guess the main thing is you guys take turns speaking, just hold this close to your mouth. There we go.
Hi everyone, my name's Zach, this is Vivian, this is Jake. We're all first year games dev students. This project was actually Vivian's first ever Unity project as well, which is very, very exciting but scary. It's such a difficult one.
So, have you guys ever wanted to rob a house? Or maybe you wanted to defend a house. Well, our game Whispers does exactly that. You can play as a seeker and defend your home by catching invaders with your flashlight, or as a hider who must sneak around, communicate to solve puzzles, and avoid being caught.
Whispers is an asymmetrical online multiplayer experience centered around utilizing spatial audio to both track down the hiders and cooperate in puzzle solving to escape the seeker. The hiders' puzzles require careful communication to solve, but watch out, speak too loud and the seeker will catch on to your location. The seeker's flashlight is the only thing that stands between you getting rich and a trip to the holding cells. With obscured vision, it can be challenging for the seeker to locate the hiders if they manage to keep it to a whisper. Hiders solve the puzzles quickly, as once the timer hits 0, you're toast.
Perfect. Thank you. Great introduction from Jake and Vivian. So, our game is a 3-player game. As we can see here, we have 1 seeker and 2 hiders. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, similar to everyone else, but usually our seeker would not be able to see anything at all. And that's to capitalize on the Dolby plugin, because we want to look at having the player audio, because that's what it is about, right? So our seeker here in the top left here would typically not be able to see anything. But we have our 2 hiders here who can run around, do their own thing. We've got a few tasks laid around the map, denoted by yellow circles with puzzles that have random little things like this. Because as the seeker can't see, they need to rely on the Dolby plugin to find the hiders. So we're making tasks that force the hiders to communicate with each other. So they have to make noise, so the seeker has to listen to them. So here it's things like, oh, pink is pretty, start there. You've got to click on the pink button to go first. Then the other one's got to, oh, I've got step 2, press the button that is the color blue. So I've got to have this constant conversation so the seeker can hear them. Keep going with that. A major inspiration for this game was a children's game that I remember playing when I was in primary school called Spotlight. So our seeker would actually have a flashlight, and as they hear the hiders, can run around and tag them with a flashlight. And if the seeker tags our hiders with a flashlight, they take damage. 3 times they take damage, they die, and the seeker wins. Anything else you guys want to? Perfect. Yes, also there is a time limit. So the hiders can't just hide in a corner, not say anything to, well, just cheese the round, I guess. They've got a time limit of 5 minutes where they've got to complete all these tasks. They've got to talk quick and frantic. And yeah, run around the map, and it could not be a whisper, because whispering will obviously be much more advantageous to hide from the seeker. think that's everything else. I'll show off the game a bit more while you can ask some questions.
Cool, great. So first question, I see the puzzle there. Did you design any other puzzles in the experience, or you only got time for one?
We did design other puzzles, but we had struggle implementing them. So I believe we had a Simon Says puzzle, and we also had like a word fill in a blank passage type puzzle from memory. Yeah, but we had struggle implementing them in the game and only got this final one here.
Okay, great.
What was your game called again?
Whispers.
Whispers. So, does the Seeker have a flashlight, correct?
Yes, not unfortunately in this version, but in a different version has a flashlight where you can't have it always on, only has 4 charges from memory, so on for 4 seconds before it's got to recharge itself, and then in the dark they've got to use their ears, use the spatial audio to track down where the players are.
And other than that, the Seeker is visually impaired, like it's harder to see. Is that the same for the hiders? Are they similarly visually impaired?
Not, so they're slightly, but not as extreme as an extent as
the advantage they have.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so if you did have more time, what features would you like to add, and how many players do you envision this concept is capping out at?
I believe we just designed for 3 players. Just stick with that 3, 1 Seeker, 2 hiders. Could obviously be expanded more, maybe 2 Seekers, 3 hiders, something like that. A feature that we initially started off with, but discarded just because of time, was having a 2-story house. So the Dolby, because it's, as you can see, a house layout. Dolby plugin had the spatial audio for above and below, which I thought would have been a really interesting concept to try and implement. But yeah, unfortunately, we did not have time for that. Oh, and yes, have many more puzzles than just the 3 that we designed. Anything else, Jay?
Easy. And one last follow-up question. Did you guys do the art assets yourself as well?
No.
Stole some of them?
Not at all. Stolen straight from the Unity asset store.
Great. Nice. Cool. Great
Perfect.
job.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, who wants to go next? Who's going next? You guys? Why? I think we've done most of the things. Have you guys presented yet? Okay, the last one. Last one. So who's getting the HDMI? This could be up. And who's presenting? Just one presenter? Okay, so when you guys... Yeah.
So our game is called Deep Terror.
Thank you.
Let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, my name is Alistair.
My name's Shahir. My name is Sudipto. I'm AJ.
And Ryan. Alright, most of us are, well, half of us are in our 3rd year of game design. We have one postgrad and another one who's doing cybersecurity. So that's our team. Our game is called Deep Terror. The premise is that you're meant to have 2 players stuck in a very claustrophobic submarine, where your job is to navigate completely blind through not partially blind, through an underwater cavern,
until you can reach your end destination. We made it so that the players are meant to have limited controls, and it's almost like they're remote controlling a submarine. We wanted to use the spatial audio from Dolby to try and present to the player. So our whole idea of the premise is that players don't get to hear or see their surroundings. They have to navigate with a map system, and the maps aren't next to the players where they can actually get to control the vehicle. Unfortunately, we have only a very brief model of the submarine internals, and we couldn't really implement the actual movement. So using the spatial sound, we wanted to have basically pseudo sounds playing in the backgrounds, which will then transmit to the players to give them direction of what's happening around them without them actually seeing what's happening. The submarine has this room layout which is claustrophobic and will force you to move in certain directions to reach where you want. I'll quickly just showcase what the submarine kind of looks like. So the initial plan was basically to have a very small claustrophobic room, and you're meant to stuff 2 players in here. I've opened up the back because I couldn't access it in time. Your controls would have been just to have the ability to move forward, like move the submarine in terms of velocity, but it's also very delayed, so it's really hard to control, as well as the ability to just move up and down. And then the other player will basically be able to traverse around the submarine to access the map and sonar room. The sonar room will allow you to hear the sounds, but you don't naturally get to hear the sounds around you. So player has to constantly keep track of where they are, as well as if there's any danger surrounding them. The map feature is basically meant to show them where they currently are. We did have a terrain setup, but due to Unity problems, one of our members couldn't access Unity at all, and we could not get that merge onto our main one. This is initially what our map was going to look like. The players would have just been an icon on this map dynamically updated and able to see, so they have to guide each other. The spatial sound would therefore be used in conjunction with that one person has to hear from around their surroundings to try directly to go, and they can also communicate to each other, but the sound based on their room will make them sound muffled, so they have to constantly move in a small room. And I actually saw the actual corridors are very tiny. The whole idea was that as players need to move around to get to the different screens to see what they want to see, they'll collide with each other, so they're in a frantic, stressful situation, and they're just basically going to be screaming at each other, trying to get to do what they wanted to do. And you want to explain what you've done?
I can show a little bit of. Can you help connect my thing? Thank you. Yes, it's on the back actually. Yes. Can you hold this? Thank you. So I have a build here with a better view of the submarine itself. Try and show it off here. So this would be, yeah, sorry. Oh. It's not, oh. Windows P, sir. There we go. Duplicate. No. Windows P again. Oh, wait. Something's happening. Yay. Technology works. Okay. So this would have been the first room, the main control room, and from here you'd be able to move around. I'm doing this one hand. Can you hold this for me? Yeah, thank you. Doing this so you can move around from the first room to the middle room, and then I have to jump. There you go. Go to the next room here, which would have been for the sonar with the screen and everything, and then if you can jump high enough, you would be able to get to the other rooms. So there's a room in the back here. Let me see if I can jump high enough. Oh, I got there. Okay, there we go. So this is another control. Oh, I dropped. All right. And then there's another one up here. Let me see if I can get up there. Almost. Almost. One last try. Hey, I got up there. Okay, so that's another room. So yeah, it would have been a very, like, the point is basically you're dealing with a monster and, you know, other things trying to get to you, and you're having to move between multiple rooms to do multiple things. Move, listen to the sonar, and, you know, we deliberated, hey, let's have a battery system where you can use a sonar only like a limited amount of times before you're just not blind, but deaf, effectively, underwater. And if you took too many hits from these unknown creatures around you, you're basically just a crushed can, basically, in underwater. So yeah. So yeah, that was our vision. I'll let my friend here show off some of the art that we had. So.
Are we done? Yeah. So any questions?
So the sonar system, were you going to implement that in Dolby I/O?
So I was going to use Dolby I/O to try and work out how far away the sonar is. Behind the scenes, your actual submarine, what you see, you don't move. I'm just remote controlling this other thing inside the play, inside this actual scene. I did have that working at one point, but due to networking and some merge conflicts, I don't know what happened. I just could not get it to work. Like it worked in one of the previous build when no one else had any of the content merged. So how the sonar would work is that I was tracking the position of the submarine, checked where the audio source is coming from, move that in relationship to your station idea, grab the Dolby, and then just control the distance so that players in the sonar room can hear relative to the submarine where this event is happening. But the other player that's controlling the ship or just not next to you won't be able to actually hear what's going on. And so you're trying to communicate there's something to your bottom right, something to your top left, avoid it, turn right, turn left, move forward. And the idea is just to make them as hectic and stressed because they don't know what's going on around them. We don't let them actually see. Everything is done behind the scene with transferring the right information to them.
And what was the win condition?
Like the whole vision was to basically have two players try and navigate a submarine remotely to the end, and then it's like since their vision is completely given to them via like third party, like through a map system, through like a sonar system, to make them effectively blind, where they don't actually directly control anything.
Okay, so survival getting to...
Survival get to the end. It's also more like, it's meant to be more of a scripted like experience, so that we don't do any procedural. We set these events, once you enter, you trigger, we play them. It's meant to be a very linear experience, trying to keep the scope down. Unfortunately, networking just did not let me add anything in without crashing for no reason. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool, yeah, last question. Apart from the features that you'd add to complete the game, are there any other features that you would like to add or complement?
As we mentioned at the beginning, we wanted this to be a scripted event, so all the events we already came up with, it was just going to be, so you have like underwater volcanoes that'll make a sound that'll beep. You hear it, you go check, you just try and avoid taking damage. Some sort of weird sea creature, since the ocean has a lot of weird and nice, wonderful sounds we could have used as reference. Just play them from a difference and just scare the player essentially. Some false sphinxes. We use sound as our weapon here as well as our main focus.
You could also use sound to misdirect.
That was also a plan. We had a plan where the sonar event it says you'll make the sound nearby, but when you actually activate, you hear nothing. It was just, we had a lot of ideas, it's just we could not get them to merge. I spent a lot of the first stage as tech support. You should remember your Dolby system did not agree with me for the first 5 hours. So I wasted a lot of time just trying to get these systems to actually communicate and work as intended.
We had the assets and everything.
Everyone else already made everything. I just could not connect it all together with the API. I just did not agree.
We had the assets and the visual UI also, which were planned to be implemented, but unfortunately we couldn't really come up with that part. Yeah. But yeah, we're pretty proud with whatever we came up with, and the other stuff which we all made were quite good. So we're happy with that. So, yeah.
Cool, nice, great job, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least. Is it you? Him?
Maybe both of us.
Okay, so you have this microphone, that goes in the pocket, and you should hit.
So my name's Samuel. I'm a third-year software engineering student, and
I'm Alistair. I'm technically third-year game design, but I only just switched to it.
right. So the game we've made is called Echo Hunt. Essentially, you, with your teammates, are in this small hexagonal maze, and you are tasked with capturing this strange entity which is roaming about in this maze. And as you can see here, the environment and everything is completely dark, and you need to use your own voice to reveal the environment and also the thing you're trying to capture. So this is accomplished using a shader, which Alistair here has created. So maybe if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, so basically, it takes the microphone input, loads that into an audio clip, and then every so often checks through that audio clip to find the highest peak volume and scales the shader based on that. And there's a bunch of work going on to get it all looking correct, and especially to make it so when you hit a peak and then you go quiet for a bit, it'll still fade out, and you can still navigate through that without being extremely noisy. Yeah.
Yeah, so you are meant to be working with your teammates in order to corner this thing, and as you can see, there is a time limit. Unfortunately, didn't have enough time to implement the UI for that. But yeah, so you are meant to corner it because it reacts to sound. So if it hears you, it will run away. It can't see you, so it only reacts to your voice. We've tried to make it so that you need to use your voice to navigate the environment. If you walk around without saying anything, a bit hard to demonstrate here, but you'll also create some sound waves from just through footsteps. But we didn't want that to overtake the importance of using spatial voice comms as the main mechanic. You also need to communicate with your teammate on strategizing on how to corner this thing. Most likely you want to use a pincer attack, go from both sides, and then, well, corner it pretty much. And when you do, you win the game. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool, great.
How would you know you're going to corner the entity? You don't have a map, so how are you going to sort of know how you're going?
Right, yeah, so that is something we were planning on implementing because as you can see, this is a bit hard to navigate because there's no landmarks, no minimap or compass. So we were planning on adding something like that to help you have a sense of direction. And that way you could tell your teammate, oh, can you go over to that corridor or that corner? So then I could go around and we could team up and do that thing. But yeah, didn't have enough time, unfortunately. So yeah.
Yeah. Great, yeah, and I guess any other features that you want to mention that you would like to have implemented if you had any more time?
Yeah, we'd love to implement some sort of narrative. We didn't have any artists on our team, so I think one of our first ideas was something like you're playing as some cops in a cyberpunk city. There's a blackout, so that's why I can't see anything. And there's a rogue AI that you need to hunt down using some echolocation technology. But yeah, maybe if we had an artist, but not this time. But for features, mechanics, we were thinking of adding some devices. So I think the best idea we had was having some device you could record a voice clip, chuck it or throw it somewhere, and then activate it as a decoy. So that would force the entity to move away from that into somewhere you might want them to go.
We really wanted to have the monster be invisible and make its own noise, but it was pretty difficult to get in the short time frame, and so that's one major feature we really wanted to get in.
Great stuff. Good job.
Okay, did we miss anyone? No, we're good? Okay, guys, so that concludes the pitching session. What's going to happen next is our Dolby friends will get into this private space to discuss all the projects and come up with some decisions. In the meanwhile, please stick around, and I don't think we have any pizza left, or probably we do. So if you guys want to grab a piece, get a piece of pizza, it should be there. And yeah.
Oh yeah, can we get in this way? Nice.
Cool. Okay, guys. While the Dolby team is deciding, do you guys know how all of this stuff was set up? Do you guys know much about Dolby and UTS? Yeah, no? Okay, so here's the story. Back in 2019, I was on my way to San Francisco for a little holiday, and I happened to have a game dev book on my hands. There was a guy sitting next to me looking at that. Okay, so guys, I'll be taking photos of the winners. Is that okay? No complaints? By the way, did you like the photos I posted on the website? Yeah? Yeah, eventually. Yeah. So I'll take photos of these guys and then we'll do group photos and stuff.
I'll put the stream back online and recordings also on.
Okay, is it recording now? Cool. Okay, guys, we're back in business. Now, let's do this. Let's do the announcement. I'm gonna put this away. I was just telling these guys about. Okay. So, can I get you guys to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. I'll begin. Hey everyone, how's it going? You probably already talked to me and heard enough of me from this week, but in case you've forgotten, I'm Braden. I'm a developer advocate with the Dolby team. And I just want to say this has been a ton of fun getting to do this with everyone. It's incredible how quickly people have been able to put together games, and no less multiplayer games, especially considering how many first-year students we have here, how many people who don't have experience with multiplayer games. It's all incredibly impressive, and I wish that we could give awards to everybody, but just know that everybody here has done an excellent job, and I really hope that you keep continuing and playing with your game ideas and building them out even more, because I think all the ones that we saw here today have a lot of merit and a lot of exciting features to them. With that said, I'll let these two guys introduce themselves, and then we'll announce the winners.
Hey, I'm Jordan. I'm a software QA engineer at Dolby.io. And yeah, just like Braden said, everyone here has done really, really well. And I really hope you guys keep working on your games, because there's definitely something to every single game here that we've seen. There's a little nugget there that I think if you keep working on it, it can turn into something really special. So keep at it.
Yeah, hi, and yeah, I'm Gary Macon, product manager for the Unity plugin that we're using. And yeah, look, I agree. Each of the games, there was some elements in there that are great. The whole thing, everything I think there was direction to take it, to keep developing the ideas and getting that gameplay loop and stuff like that, getting that all working really well. So yeah, no, we were impressed. So we go through the winners then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so which order? We'll start off with the most polished. Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a discussion about that. But in the end, we decided that Asteroid Mayhem for the most polished.
Take a bow.
Congratulations. Yeah. Stay up here. We'll get everyone up here in the end. Okay, so best use of spatial audio. Again, yeah, actually, in each case, there was definitely more than one possibility for the prize. But this case, we went with Eldritch Echoes. Congratulations.
Some people went to bed.
Okay, next is the best use of player-to-player interactions. And we saw some interesting and innovative player-to-player interactions, but the one that we liked best was Starship Scramble. Okay, and the final award is for the most innovative use of voice comms. And for that one, the one that took it visual was the winner. So Echo Hunt. Yeah. Like the shader. Yeah, yeah, yes. I'll pass it back.
Gentlemen.
I'll
Yeah.
pass it back to you for afterwards.
Sweet.
Cool.
Again, thanks for everybody who participated. I'm going to post a link in the Discord, but Dolby.io actually recently released their community writing program. So what you can do with our community writing program is you can submit a topic, and if it gets approved, you can then write out a technical guide and share it out in your socials and post it, and we'll pay up to $500 for that. So considering that everybody here is already familiar with the Dolby.io product and has already actually built something, it's really, really easy for you to go ahead, submit a topic, and if it's accepted, then write something out. And I really encourage everybody here to take a look at doing that, because everybody here's students, you know, $500, 500 US is good money, and so definitely check that out. But again, thanks for playing around with our plugins, attending the workshop, and really making this event such a big success. And before everybody takes off, I think we also should give a big round of applause to Jamie and the Playmakers Guild for helping put this whole event together.
Cool. Thank you, guys. No, I truly hope you guys enjoyed this activity. We took a bit of time planning it, and all we wanted is that you guys had fun. And if you learned something in the process, fantastic. But ultimately, what we wanted is for you guys to have fun, for you guys to meet our Dolby friends, and thank you guys for flying all the way from the US and being here the whole 2 days. I know that was a bit of an effort, and I appreciate that. And we actually got a little something as a thank you for you guys. So I hope you guys like wine. There we go. So this is on behalf of the organizing committee for TechFest. And one for Jordan and one for Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the help. Cool. Okay, and I guess the last announcement, guys, is we have a game showcase happening on Thursday. That's when all the students or the top projects from second year, final year will be invited or have been invited. And we have 30-something projects. One of them is actually a data arena game, which is quite nice. I'll put a link on the chat. Please get your ticket. That's for catering purposes mostly. And make sure that you guys come and check it out and come and say hi. We're going to take some photos, and you get the chance to meet the students on the latest projects. That's it. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next event.